My name is Marcus, and if you think you know the story of Snow White, I need you to forget it for a moment, because the truth isn't soft. It isn't gentle, and it definitely isn't the kind of story that ends the way you expect. I remember the first time I heard her name. It was whispered like something sacred or dangerous. Snow White. Not because her skin was pale like snow, but because she had a way of making everything around her feel colder, quieter, more real. Like standing in the middle of winter and realizing you're completely alone. She wasn't born into kindness. She was born into silence. Her mother died the day she opened her eyes. No lullabies, no warm arms, just a castle filled with echoes and a father who loved her but didn't know how to show it. And then came the queen. You've heard about her. Beautiful, powerful, untouchable. But what they don't tell you is this. She wasn't always cruel. At first she tried. I know that sounds strange, but it's true. She would sit beside Snow White when she ate, brush her hair with slow, careful strokes, even smile sometimes. But there was always something behind her eyes. Something calculating. Something watching. It started with the mirror. Not just any mirror. This one didn't reflect what you looked like. It told you what you were. Who is the fairest? She would ask. And at first the mirror always said her name. Until one day, it didn't. Snow White? Just one word. But it changed everything. I've seen jealousy before. Small, sharp, fleeting. This wasn't that. This was something deeper. Something that grows quietly, like roots under the ground, until it cracks everything open. The queen didn't scream. She didn't rage. She smiled. And that was worse. That was the day Snow White stopped being a stepdaughter and became a problem. I wish I could tell you she noticed. That she felt the shift, the danger creeping in. But she didn't. She still smiled when the queen entered the room, still spoke gently, still believed in some quiet corner of her heart that she was loved. That's what makes this story hurt. Because the kindest people never see betrayal coming. The order was given at dusk. A huntsman, loyal, silent, the kind of man who follows commands, because he doesn't know how not to. Take her into the forest, the queen said, her voice smooth as glass, and make sure she doesn't come back. He understood. Of course he did. And Snow White. She trusted him. That's the part that stays with me. She walked beside him without fear, her hands folded, her voice soft as she asked about the trees, the birds, the world beyond the castle walls. She had never seen the forest before. Imagine that. A girl raised in a palace, amazed by something as simple as sunlight through leaves. When he stopped walking, she stopped too. When he turned to face her, something inside him broke. I can't do it, he said. She didn't understand at first. How could she? But when he dropped the knife, when his hands started shaking, that's when she saw it. Fear, not for himself. For her. You have to run, he told her. Right now. Don't look back. Don't trust anyone. And just like that, her life split in two, before the forest. And after. She ran, through branches that clawed at her skin, through shadows that seemed to move, through the kind of silence that makes you feel like you're being watched, because she was, not by animals, by something else. The forest isn't empty. It never has been. It tests you. And Snow White, she was fragile, but she wasn't weak. There's a difference. She didn't stop until her legs gave out, until her breath burned, until the world blurred around her. And that's when she found it. A small house, hidden, quiet. 7 chairs, 7 plates, 7 beds. You know this part of the story, right? 7 dwarfs. But let me tell you something. They weren't what you think. They weren't cheerful. They weren't harmless. They were survivors. Men who had been cast out, broken by a world that didn't care about them. Each one carried something heavy. Loss, anger, regret. They didn't trust easily. So when they found her asleep in their home, they didn't see innocence. They saw trouble. Who is she? One of them asked. A mistake, another muttered. But she woke before they could decide. And when she looked at them, really looked, she didn't see danger. She saw pain. I won't hurt you, she said. Simple words, but something in her voice. It reached them. Maybe because no one had spoken to them like that in years. Maybe because they recognized it. Loneliness. They let her stay. Not out of kindness, out of curiosity. But something changed, slowly. Quietly, she brought warmth into that house. Not the kind you get from fire, the kind you feel in your chest when someone sees you and doesn't turn away. She listened to their stories, their anger, their silence, and for the first time in a long time, they felt human again. But peace doesn't last in stories like this. You already know that. The mirror spoke again. Snow White lives. And the queen. She didn't smile this time. She prepared. Disguises, potions, plans within plans. The first attempt was almost gentle. A ribbon pulled too tight. The second, a comb poisoned at its teeth. Each time the dwarf saved her. Each time she got closer to losing. And still, she believed that people could be good, that kindness mattered. That's what made the last attempt work. The apple. Simple, beautiful, perfect, half red, half pale, choice disguised as a gift. Just a bite, the old woman whispered. And Snow White, tired, hopeful, still believing in goodness, she took it. I wish I could change that part. I wish I could tell you she hesitated. But she didn't. The moment she bit into it, everything stopped. Her breath, her heartbeat, the world. When the dwarfs found her, it was too late. Or so they thought. They didn't bury her. They couldn't, because she didn't look dead. She looked like she was waiting. So they built her a glass coffin, not to trap her, to protect her. Days passed. Then weeks. Grief settled into something heavy, something permanent, until he came. Not a prince. No, that's the version they tell you. He wasn't royal. He was just a traveler, tired, lost, human. He saw her, and he didn't see beauty. He saw stillness, the kind that feels wrong. What happened to her, he asked. No one answered, because there was no answer left. But he stayed, for a while, long enough to notice something. A faint, almost invisible breath. She's not gone, he said. They didn't believe him. Why would they? Hope is dangerous when you've already lost everything. But he didn't leave. He refused. And sometimes, that's enough. They moved the coffin, carefully, and in that moment, something shifted. The piece of apple, dislodged. A breath. Small, fragile, but real. Her eyes opened. Not like in the stories, not sudden, not magical, slow, confused. Like someone waking from a nightmare they can't remember. The world rushed back all at once. The dwarfs, the forest, the pain, and him. Standing there not as a savior, but as someone who simply didn't give up. She didn't fall in love instantly. That's not how real stories work. But she looked at him. And for the first time since everything fell apart, she felt something unfamiliar. Safety. The queen? Her story didn't end with fire or cliffs. It ended quietly, when the mirror stopped answering. Because sometimes the worst punishment is silence. And Snow White? She didn't go back to the castle. She didn't need to. She built something new. Not perfect, not easy, but real, and if you ask me, that's a better ending than any fairy tale. Because she didn't just survive. She chose to live. And that is the part of the story no one ever forgets.